I used to be really nervous at the idea of having an episode that touches on like the dark side of depression, like the suicidal ideations. I love that I love that I said the dark side of depression. Like, what's the light side? What's the glass half full on this one? That's so dumb. Anyway, okay. But this whole mental health report thingy that we do each week has been, it's been working for me. It's normalizing it for me at least. So let's talk about depression, but let's bring in a pro. All right, here we go. You are listening to ADHD Big Brother, the podcast for adults struggling with their ADHD, their comorbid depression, their anxiety. Oh, it's just a hoot. I'm your host and your ADHD Big Brother, Russ Jones. I've got ADHD too. I've got depression as well. It's crap-tastic. So let's learn some stuff. Let's laugh at some stuff. Let's make some commitments to do some stuff. And ladies and gentlemen, here's some stuff. Welcome to the podcast. Hi. How you doing? You doing? I'm doing too. Cool. Hey, oh, God. Hey, let's do some businessy stuff before we jump into the swamplands. I still have one slot left for one-on-one work. I opened up 5 spots recently, 5 new spots. We banged them out pretty quick. So there's one more. If you need a productivity coach for your ADHD, if you're stuck, if you need help getting unstuck, and you would like to experience the confidence, the boost that you get when you are consistent, that's me. I'm your guy for that. You can click on the link in the show notes to book a call, and we will see if it's a good fit. Other things that we have 3 available spots in the ongoing consistency crew. I'm a big fan of consistency. Can you tell? It's a group that meets every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, and it's productivity and accountability. We make plans. We talk about what works, doesn't work. We make commitments for the week, and we support each other. It is a tier of the ADHD Big Brother community, so when you sign up for that, you also get the entirety of the community. That's part of it. So you do have to apply, though, so reach out, book a free chat. Same old, same old. We'll see if it's right. And then we have unlimited openings in the ADHD Big Brother community for limited time only. Unlimited memberships available. This is where you get unstuck and consistent with others. We're right around 60 members at the time of this recording. If you're looking for your people, man, if you're looking for ongoing support, community challenges, daily accountability, expert workshops, body doubling, weekly support calls. I'm now realizing why I'm so tired. Bi-monthly goals, book clubs. This is why I'm exhausted. Jesus. Right now, it's like a little over $150 a day to be a member. I remember when we started this. Holy shit. It was $15 a month when we started. But we still have members that have been there since the beginning. They're still showing up every single day. Business-wise, I think people would say that it's not the best business thing for me because it costs me the most to do it, and it takes up most of my time. But it's where my heart lives. But anyway, I'm teetering on sustainability, so the price is going to go up at some point to new people, not anybody that's in the currently members. So I don't believe in that practice of, whatever you join at is what you stay at. So there you go. There's my bullshitty clock countdown thing. Those things that I hate. Get in before midnight. I'm like, whatever. I don't know when it's going to go up. I'm just sharing my headspace with you. I tend to be impulsive on stuff like that. So we'll see. But if you've ever been on the fence about joining the community, man, and what it can do, try it now. Do it now before it goes up. Get in. And then you can always book a free chat with me and ask me questions about it. I'm literally here to help if I can. I've talked people out of it. You know what I'm saying? If it's not right for you, it's not right for you. You do have to be willing to log in. But the people that are logging in, holy balls. And they're benefiting. So there you have it. Links are in the show notes. Mental health report. The mental health report is I'm tired. And I think I see why. But actually, I think that's the physical report, right? That's not the mental health report. You know what I've been doing is a fair bit of radical acceptance practice, DIY style, which is great. And that's what Dr. Bruce talks about in this episode. I've noticed the most in moments when I get overwhelmed. That's when I tend to get to that place where I beat myself up because I'm not making a choice. The calm on the other end of fighting the overwhelm, just accepting it, that has been very interesting. It's been positive. So for my mental health, I'm good. I'm tired, but I'm good. I'm super grateful for the We Win Together challenge that Luve created in the community. That's getting me to do my meditating, my walking, my exercise. So, accountability for that stuff is just great. And then Fork Yeah, season 2 is coming up. And I didn't play that one on the first season. It was too much, but it's a food health challenge that our Aussie member, Mick, spearheaded. It's a good food challenge. So I'm going to jump into that one this upcoming season. I love how they're seasons. Like we're doing these like episodics. Season 2 of the Fork Yeah Challenge. Alrighty, that's the business and that's the brain stuff. Let's talk depression. Let's go there. Do you want to go there with me? I really enjoy the conversations that I have with Dr. Laurie Bruce. She was on the podcast a couple months ago talking about various therapy modalities. Super interesting. Always enlightening. And today she's come back to talk about depression. We talk about the suicide-y stuff. I share a little bit about my own ideating times. So it may or may not be heavy for you, triggering, or, but just so you know, just putting it out there. But I got a lot out of it and was even educated on the power of the suicide hotlines because I had a different viewpoint of them and she changed that. So because we're a global podcast, I have included a link to the hotlines in various countries. That's all in the show notes. And along with ours, the one that we have in the US is just 988. So there you go. And so then just so we are all on the same page, I'm not a therapist. Dr. Laurie is a clinical psychologist. I'm coming from the lens of my own brain, my own situation, and my own dealings with depression. Everybody is unique and different. So take that as you will. All right, let's talk about Dr. Laurie Bruce. She is a clinical psychologist and mindfulness coach. She specializes in a type of therapy called Dialectical Behavior Therapy, which is a treatment that combines both traditional cognitive and behavioral strategies with Eastern mindfulness practices. She is also a certified psychedelic-assisted psychotherapist. Dr. Bruce is passionate about reducing the stigma of mental illness and sharing resources to the public about mental health, resilience, emotional intelligence, healthy relationships, and developing meaning and purpose in our lives. She hosts the Kick Butt podcast, From Both Sides of the Couch, available on all your fun podcasty platforms. All righty, there you go. Shall we? After you. Here's my conversation with Dr. Laurie, already in progress. Can you talk to me a little bit about depression as you see it in terms of your work as a therapist?
So a lot of people reach out to me. The two main issues that people reach out to me as a therapist for help with are anxiety and depression. Anxiety is actually number one, the most frequent. Okay. Depression is number two. And often people have a combination of both, though they may not realize it. So for those folks who are coming in with depression, they're often might be referred by their psychiatrist, by a family member, sometimes absolutely by themselves, saying, I've been sad, down and blue for weeks. Sometimes people say months or even years, and I feel like I'm stuck and I can't get out of it. And so the first thing I do when I'm meeting with someone is to do an evaluation to see do they actually have clinical depression? Do they have additional issues in addition to the depression? And then make some treatment recommendations, which for me is always talk therapy, though I might also include a recommendation that they get a medication evaluation. As a psychologist, I don't prescribe, I just do talk therapy. But if a client comes to me and they're really depressed and they're not on an antidepressant, I always refer them to meet with a psychiatrist because the research is pretty clear that the combination of talk therapy and medications are the most effective or the gold standard of treatment.
Okay. And so thinking about diagnosis in your office, are there red flags to be like, oh yeah, what are you looking for when you're diagnosing?
So when we're making a diagnosis, there's our the Bible, so it's called, is the DSM.
Yeah.
It's like an actual book, very,
Yeah.
very thick. And people need to meet very, very specific criteria in order for me to give them the formal diagnosis of major depressive disorder. So there are 5 criteria, and somebody needs to have, or actually, I could go back and look at it. I don't have it memorized off the top of my head, but I believe
Yeah.
there's like 7 criteria, and you need to meet 5 of the 7 for more than 2 weeks at a time. That's mostly right. I'd have to go back and look. But essentially, the things that I'm looking for is, on most days, the person is feeling sad, down, or blue. They have that subjective feeling of feeling
Uh-huh.
depressed. It's affecting their sleep. Either they're having trouble sleeping or they're sleeping too much. It's affecting their appetite. So either they're not eating enough or they're eating too much.
Okay.
It's affecting their energy levels. So they're either very, very fatigued or very restless. So it's kind of like you can see
That's
either of these on
interesting.
both ends of the continuum.
Yeah.
Usually it affects people's cognition. So it's affecting your memory, your focus, your concentration. And certainly the biggest red flag that we have to look out for is any thoughts of death, dying, or any thoughts of ending their life. Those are the biggest, obviously, concern and biggest red flag for major depression.
Yeah, that's where things get really scary, like where you're like, "Ooh, I don't know if we can talk about." So I like, where does that fit in terms of, I'm just going to speak for myself because I'll just share my
Mm-hmm.
own skull spaghetti. I don't care. But in my ideation moments, right? It's I'll say these days, right? Because back in the day it
Mm-hmm.
was different, but in these days it's there's not an ideation of like I gotta get out, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't it be easier if, or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you go,
Oh,
oh,
yeah,
if
for sure.
we went into the 7-Eleven, God, I hope somebody's robbing it with a gun, because then maybe I could just
Yeah.
jump in front of it or something.
Yep.
It's a
Oh, for
bit
sure.
morbid, right? Yeah.
It is a little bit dark,
Yeah.
but I do think it's really important to be able to comfortably talk about this.
Yeah.
That
Agreed.
for regular folk, this is a really, really hard conversation to have. It's really hard sometimes for clients to be open. Their biggest fear is they're going to say something which is going to get them locked up. And
Yeah.
so oftentimes clients are really hesitant to say anything. But as a therapist, you've got to get comfortable with talking about thoughts of death or dying, hurting
Hmm.
yourself, ending your life, hurting someone else. You just
Hmm.
have to get comfortable with having those conversations. And so, yeah, it's a little dark, but it's still worth noting that we have different kinds of ideation. We can have what's called passive suicidal ideation or active suicidal ideation. Passive suicidal ideation is just like you said, it wouldn't be a horrible thing if all of a
Yeah.
sudden my car just went off the road and I got into an accident. It wouldn't be
Yeah.
a bad thing. Oftentimes people will say to me, I wish I could just fall asleep and never wake up. It's like,
Yeah.
if this happened to me, I'm not going to be mad about it, but I'm not actually going to do anything. Whereas
Yeah.
active SI is when someone is thinking, like, okay, if I were going to do it, what would I do? They often have a plan or a rough idea of a plan. Some folks are, big red flags that I start asking for. Have you made any preparations? Have you written any goodbye notes? Started thinking about your belongings?
Ah.
These are things that, when we start shifting from passive to active, that people are going to do. What I think is really interesting, though, is for those people with ADHD are at much higher risk for having depression. I mean, somewhere like 3 to 5 times greater
Yeah.
than folks without ADHD. So ADHD and depression very often go together. One of
Yeah.
the challenges in working with folks with ADHD that occasionally have suicidal thoughts is the impulsivity. Often folks with ADHD don't plan so much as they have a horrible day or a horrible experience and then impulsively think life would be better off without me.
Yeah.
Versus folks without ADHD who don't have that impulsivity are more likely to be able to sort of manage the ups and downs of their depression and not impulsively do something to hurt themselves. So I think
Yeah.
it's you're at a higher risk when you have both ADHD and severe depression.
Yeah, that's the scary thing when I think about it is like, if you're driving on the freeway and you're just a moment, you're just a flicker of an impulsive. So having that
Mhm.
impulse control, which is missing, that's I really feel for, I guess, the community in general and the
Yeah,
struggle of depression. So
yeah.
when does somebody here's what I would be wondering is I'm in a moment of not knowing, like am I ideating? Am I not? Is this, I thought about
Mhm.
it, but I don't know if it's a real doable plan or blah, 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 blah. What do I do
Mhm.
if I like go, oh, red flag, I'm red flagging myself? Cause I
Mhm.
don't know about me, but I don't know about you, but like the call a hotline to me it's not really something I think I would do, but I'm just
Mhm.
me,
Sure.
right? So this
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
number, which I will absolutely have in the show notes, because of what we're
Mhm.
talking about. But what's a real thing I could do outside of that?
Um, the first thing that I would say is if you have ever even had passive suicidal ideation, the thought, I'd be better off, or just a sense of hopelessness about the future, that's enough of a red flag that you need to seek professional assistance. Okay. That's not
Cool.
something that you should be managing on your own. So even if it's never gone into that active stage, the fact that you're having passive thoughts or just a feeling of hopelessness and helplessness, that in and of itself warrants professional assistance of
Okay.
either talking to your primary care doctor, getting a therapist, or getting a psychiatrist.
Yeah, that was kind of going to be my
That
follow up is okay, that's going to be very, very hard for me to do if I'm bedridden
Mhm.
with depression is to
Yes.
call. So, what's the specific task? Email my primary care person and say, I need a therapist. Give me recommendations. Or,
Uh, yep, email, call, my chart message, whatever access you have. Primary care doctors, almost always, I've never met a primary care doctor that doesn't have a list of therapists that they can refer to. And so I would say we all have primary care doctors. Almost all of us have primary
yeah,
care doctors. And that is a good entry point to say, hey, look, I'm in a really bad headspace. And the doctor will want to meet with you. Even if they don't prescribe a medication, they'll want to meet with you to talk to you, to let you know you're not alone and that there is treatment and there is help. What I also try to remind folks who ever have these types of thoughts is that suicide is a long-term solution to a short-term problem. The thoughts of suicide are fleeting. The
hmm,
thoughts, they're always fleeting, just like any other thought that we have. They come and go, and we can observe them. I teach a lot about the concept of mindfulness. Can we watch a thought pop into our head and watch it leave, not get attached to it, not grab it, not hold on to it, not nurture it, not fuel
oh
it?
man,
Can we just see that thought pop? Like a cloud in the sky, and then pass along like a cloud in the sky. And so that's kind of
yeah,
how we manage. There's some people who live with suicidal thoughts chronically, they just live this way. And that's one of the ways that we can cope with it. Hey, it's just a thought, it's not real, it's not truth. It will come and it will pass. And we don't
yeah.
need to give a solution to a short term problem.
God, that's profound to me, right? God, it's so hard sometimes to not attach your self-worth to a thought that feels true, like
Yes.
you're a piece of
Yes.
shit loser. And
Right.
it's so hard to
Yeah.
go, when you intrinsically, when your core is so on board with believing it. Oh God,
Yeah,
that work is tough.
it is. It
Yeah.
is. I like to remind myself when I'm having those types of thoughts, I suck, I'm worthless, what's the point? Is to remind myself that any thought that I have that leads me to feel despair cannot be true. And
Ooh.
when we're healthy and when we're not in a depressive place, we know this to be true. Okay. We know it with certainty. But when we are depressed, the our truth is changed.
Mhm.
What feels real to us, our reality feels different. And so that can be sort of our litmus test. Okay, this thought that I just had, does that make me feel hopeful or does that make me feel despair? And if the answer is no, that feels pretty despairing, then it must not be true because there is no reality where just that we are living in where despair is warranted. Even in the most challenging of life circumstances, despair is not warranted.
We hate despair. We are not on board with despair.
Down. That's right. Down with despair.
Despair can suck it. Okay, so
That's right.
so my takeaway then here is for this is not a fight to get in with my brain because my brain will win, and it's just why get into that. But my idea is if I can establish, okay, this is a thought of despair. I know it's bullshit. Now I do the mindfulness techniques that you're talking about of watch it pass with like a cloud. So
Yes.
I relate to this, and we spoke about this last time. It's even though. So like even though that's true for me right now, but I've determined it's despair, even though I'm going to now move forward and do a thing.
Yes. I love that. Even though it feels like my situation is hopeless and I feel despair, I know logically that it is not true.
Yeah.
And this feeling will pass. This is not a permanent state. And I just have to wait it out. And sometimes the more we try to change it, we do all of these interventions and make our little thought record. And this is my thought. And what's the challenge to the thought? Sometimes that actually makes it worse. Sometimes it's helpful. And by all means, if it's helpful, do it. But for many of us, it actually can kind of make it worse because now we're latching onto it. Now we're holding onto it versus just watching those thoughts like what is that on TV when you have the captions on the bottom,
The
closed
Chiron?
captioning, I guess.
The closed captioning. Yeah.
The closed captioning on the bottom because now that I'm in my 50s, I'm deaf. I can't hear anything that they're saying on TV shows. So I have to put closed captioning on everything. What did they just say? What's going on? Like that's how we want to think of our thoughts, or like the closed captioning. We're just going to read it and we're going to let them pass.
That's awesome. And to closed captioning, my girlfriend got me into that. Now I watch everything with closed captioning, and it is great. It is nice.
Yeah.
Especially when you have
You
kids.
can't go back.
And things happening around you. The only time it sucks is when you're watching any kind of a sport, like you're watching soccer or something, and they are running with the soccer ball right where the announcer's talking. And so the text covers it. This is a side note. That's my hang up.
Yeah.
With closed
Yes,
captioning.
that sucks. Yes. I thought you were going to say that it says running, like on the bottom.
I don't need to know what they're doing. That is
Why
hilarious.
are they doing that?
Why do I need to know what I'm seeing? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's really, and it's hard. It's hard to talk about depression. It's not very uplifting. It's not very, it's hard to have these kinds of conversations, but also really, really necessary because so many of us feel shame about our depression. We feel shame about our anxiety. And the urge when we feel shame is to pull away and to hide and to avoid, to isolate. And those are the very things we need not to do when we're feeling depressed, when we're feeling overwhelmed with life.
Totally. I totally am on board with that. I think I've talked about this a number of times. I have like a core 4 of people. These are 4 people that know I have depression and that I can call
Mm-hmm.
whenever. So they are
Mm.
my kind of lifeline. If I can call them at 2 in the morning and just be like, hey, I'm going through it. I have never,
Mm-hmm.
I've
Love
never,
it.
I've never what made good on that. But it's for some reason, it's just nice to know that it's there. That to me is
Yes.
super, super helpful.
Oh, it is incredibly powerful. And you are very blessed and fortunate and just part of your great personality, which is why you have that. What I would say is that not everybody is blessed with that. And
Yeah.
although you might not feel like, oh, I could never call a hotline, I actually have a lot of clients who
Oh,
do
really?
use hotlines and find them to be tremendously useful. Yeah.
Okay.
But the people who staff the hotlines, they're not there to solve your problem. That they're not therapists necessarily, but they are there to just be there, to just listen, to provide empathy and support. And sometimes that's all you need when you
Okay.
feel like you are completely alone with these thoughts. Sometimes just reaching out to another human being and saying, hey, I'm really hurting and I don't know what to do, and having that connection, another human connection, can be enough just to get you through another day. So I actually do have a lot of folks who use the hotlines.
That's awesome. And that's really helpful for me to hear because I'm just one person with one opinion. Can you sell me on that then about when? Because my follow up question to all this was like, okay, what if I have no money? I can't go to a
Mm,
doctor, I can't do
hmm
anything. So this
hmm
hotline then maybe seems like a great idea. But can you just talk about what are your options if you have no options? There's not a
Yeah,
penny in
great
your wallet.
question. Yeah, great question. What I would say, if you don't have a penny in your wallet, we do have insurance for folks who don't make any money. And based upon your earnings, that insurance can be even free. So I think the way we have set up our healthcare in America right now sucks, but it could
Agreed.
be worse. It could be worse. So right now, we everybody has the option to be able to get some form of health insurance, even if it's shitty. And there are typically in every city free clinics, community mental health centers that
Mm.
offer reduced fees or fee reductions. I used to work at a community mental health center where they would charge $3 to meet with me.
Oh.
And so one of the biggest risks I worry for people are in the more rural areas where it might take, an hour to drive to a place like that, and maybe they don't have a car. And
Yep.
so thank goodness now we have telehealth. Um, I don't want to say that we have a plethora of options because we don't, but
Hmm.
we do have some available options. And a free suicide hotline to me is a band-aid. It's something to help you get through a dark time, but
Hmm.
certainly not anything that you would want to rely on for ongoing care.
Okay. So that's what they could go to in a pinch, right? Is this hotline for
Mm-hmm.
another human being, for empathy, for support in the moment. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's not ongoing. Like you said, what can people DIY? What can people take away? Like, what can they practice? What can they do at home? So a lot of this stuff I know is you do this stuff when you're not depressed, right?
Yeah.
So that the
Mm-hmm.
skills are there when you hit. I mean, I have a
Yes.
mindfulness meditation practice. I have certain things that I'll do, but I mean, we talked about this offline. August was like shitty for me. It was awful. So
Yeah.
it doesn't even matter. But what would be some things that you would recommend?
So I agree with you 100% that the time to do it is when you're feeling good. Okay. Because when we're not feeling good, it's hard to focus, it's hard to concentrate, it's hard to be willing to learn anything.
Yeah.
So if we can learn these skills when we're feeling well enough, that will help prepare us for the inevitable. And if you have a history of depressive episodes, more than two depressive episodes, research shows you have about a 90% chance that you're going to have another. So the more episodes you have, the more likely you're going to continue to have them, particularly without treatment. Um, so I think for me, of course, I'm biased. My training is in a type of therapy called DBT or Dialectical Behavior Therapy. But one of the things that I love about the awesomeness of YouTube is that there are many, many providers out there that are actually teaching DBT skills on YouTube. And so one of the possible things you could do if it's not feasible for you to join a DBT group, you could actually go on YouTube and still just watch videos of a therapist teaching you the skills. And in DBT, they talk about skills that help you in a crisis, skills that help you ask for help, skills that have help you regulate your mood so you have less ups and downs, and skills related to mindfulness and being present. So I think if that would be the number one thing that I would suggest that people do if they really can't afford a therapist at this time. Well, at the very least, you could get yourself equipped to learn some DBT skills. Yeah. And all of that, it's been around long enough that they don't do the same copyright protections that they might have done back in the day. Now all of the handouts and everything are free and readily available, and there are enough folks on YouTube teaching it.
And honestly, people are going to be on YouTube anyways. We are historically binge watching YouTube. So why don't we binge watch some DBT exercises?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And here's another little nugget I'll just add.
Okay.
DBT, traditional DBT, is for folks who generally have lots of ups and downs with their mood and impulsivity, and a lot of the things that we also think about with ADHD. Okay. So we talk about DBT as being for folks who are under controlled, people who have ups and downs with their mood, ups and downs with their behavior, ups and downs with their attention and their focus and their concentration. So they're dysregulated, under controlled. So that's where DBT is most useful for. We do have another subset of folks. Typically, they don't have ADHD. So I don't know how many of your listeners are going to identify with this, but I'll just throw it out there. We have another subset of folks that we call over-controlled. Over-controlled folks don't have the ups and downs, and they don't have the impulsivity. They actually work really hard to make everything have a plan, have a structure, have a purpose. They need things to be exact in a certain way. They want it to be a certain way. And when it doesn't go that way, they really, really get upset. Oh. So for those folks, there's actually a type of treatment called RODBT, or radically open DBT. Okay. So whereas traditional DBT is kind of like helping bring people, get a little bit more control over your emotion, control over your relationships, RODBT does the opposite, where it's actually helping you to, it's helping you to let go of the needs for control, let go of the needs to, plan, make it perfect, keep things rigid. It teaches flexibility and openness to being wrong, humility, all of these things that are really hard for folks with over-controlled temperaments. Okay. So if any of your listeners think, well, I don't have these ups and downs, I have the opposite, I feel like I can never let anything go, you could also go on YouTube and type in RODBT and learn those skills, which is a different set of skills.
Is there an exercise, maybe we can Google it or YouTube it, but that you could like something that we could, I like leaving with a challenge. Like, what can us depressos do? What can we do in the DBT landscape as a fun little thing to do?
Oh my God, so many. Where would I even begin?
That would permanently end our depression forever.
Yeah.
And cure us of our ADHD and all our neurons fire exactly in accordance to how we want them to. Go ahead. Yes, what is that exercise?
I so wish. What I will say is, as everyone knows, depression and ADHD are not curable conditions.
Yeah, I know.
What, what I do think out of all the skills in DBT, and there are hundreds of them, I would say that there's one skill that has helped me the most personally. And usually when I teach it to my folks, they say, wow, that it is very helpful.
Okay.
So the skill is called radical acceptance. Have you ever heard that one before?
I've heard the term, but you're going to have to educate me.
Okay. All right. That's what I'm here for. So radical acceptance, two parts. First is radical, meaning whole, complete, entirely, not 99%, but 100%. Okay. That's radical. The second piece is acceptance. And what do I mean by acceptance? I mean that I'm going to let go of the need for my reality to be different than it is.
Ooh.
So radical acceptance means I completely and totally in this moment allow reality to be as it is. And I'm going to stop fighting my reality. I'm going to stop fighting those things that I cannot control. And I'm going to allow my reality to be as it is. So if we're depressed and we're stuck and we're in our bed, we can either choose to say, this sucks, it's not fair, I wish I were never born, why does it always have to happen to me, I'm never going to get out of this place. Like, that is the definition of suffering, when we are fighting against our reality. Radical acceptance is, okay, in this moment, I am so depressed, I am stuck in this bed. So I'm in this bed and I feel like crap. So this is my reality. I'm not going to fight it because I can't. There's nothing I can do to fix it. I'm going to allow it and I'm going to accept it.
Wow.
That is fundamentally the difference. What I tell people is the difference between pain and suffering. Life is full of pain. Pain is inevitable. Pain is not something to be avoided, but suffering is optional.
Wow.
And so I think that can be a very useful skill for people to practice in your daily lives over the things over which we don't have control. And sometimes it really does feel like our depression is out of our control.
Yeah. But yeah, this sounds like a really fun exercise to do throughout the day, to check in and go, I guess it would be whenever I would find myself going, I don't like how things are right now. Whenever I'm and whenever I have an inner tantrum going on about something.
Tantrum, great word.
Right?
Yes. Yeah, for me, that's not fair. That's not fair. I don't like that.
This.
Yeah.
Yes.
My inner 4-year-old is stamping her foot and saying, this sucks. That's not fair. And when there's something I can do about it, do it. But if there's nothing I can do about it, then that's our opportunity to practice radical acceptance and turn suffering just into pain, which is a part of being human.
Oh, this is good. This is refreshing. I feel good. Thank you for doing. Thank you for coming on and coming back and talking about sad depression.
Sad things. Yes.
Oh my God.
Anytime. I'm always here to brighten your day.
Yeah. So if people are going to want to find out more about you, where are they going?
Yeah, so you're going to go to drlauriebruce.com. I have a website. I have a podcast from both sides of the couch, but the best way to learn more about me, did I say from best sides of the couch? I meant from both sides of the couch. I don't know what I said, but
I think you said
that's
both.
where you would find me for my podcast. Okay, good. And
are you also on the best side of the couch? Are you on both the best and both?
I'm on the best side.
Which side is the best? The one where you're laying down talking about your woes, or the one where you're listening and advising?
You know, that's a great question. They're both the best.
So we're going to drlauriebruce.com. That's where we're going to learn more about you.
That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Laurie. I appreciate this.
Thank you, Russ. Always a pleasure.
Man, that was super helpful, super enlightening. I love having conversations with Dr. Laurie. I've been poking around the DBT landscape since our conversation, and it is fascinating. Radical acceptance for the win. What are you guys going to do? What are you going to radically accept this week? It's interesting because the feeling happens first, right? Like I'm not anticipating and acting all prepared for it. It's a surprise. This practice of radically accepting the overwhelm feelings from having too much going on, and it's when I catch myself. How soon can I catch myself and radically accept it? It's been helping me. I'm a fan. Alrighty, guys, you can learn more about Dr. Laurie by visiting the links in the show notes. Go to drlauriebruce.com and her podcast From Both Sides of the Couch. Check it out. I also have all the suicide prevention-y information down there if you need it. There she blows. And with that, hope you all have a fantastic week, and I will talk to you later.